everybody. Welcome to Hello Chaos, the podcast exploring the messy and chaotic lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP, for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. And it's through hyperlocal platforms designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders along their journey. Orange Whip is part storyteller, part how-to guide, and navigator. We are the megaphone for founders telling real, raw, and honest stories, and why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My nickname is JJ. I'm the founder of Orange Whip and your podcast host today. We record live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we publish on all podcast platforms on the following Sunday. On our podcast today, we welcome Angel Liang with Tiny Sprouts. Hello, Angel. She's an educational, emotional intelligence creator of activities for children. Welcome, Angel, to our 50-second podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. Tell us, first of all, let me make sure I describe Tiny Sprouts. Tell us what Tiny Sprouts is.
So we are a company that, we want to commit to emotional well-being. And we feel like, it's something that we wanted to make known for every family in all over the world. And those things are not necessarily being taught at school or being emphasized at all. So we really want to, use a tool, create a tool, and, trying to give that to the families, to build character traits such as kindness, perseverance, integrity, positive growth mindset, social skills, those are just, all of those things that for a well-rounded childhood development. So.
That's right. So, and you're a doctor, right? I mean, you're a PhD.
I'm an educational psychologist.
Okay.
By trade, yes.
By trade. And so did you just see, I can start tell me about your entrepreneurial journey, but was it that you just saw a gap in this from the market, or do you have children of your own, or what started you down this path?
I do have 3 boys of my own.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so, what are the ages of those boys?
They are, how old are they? They're 16.
You sound like me.
One is about to be 15 and 8-year-old.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So you have a 15-year-old?
16, almost 15. He's going to be,
And a what? And then a 1-year-old.
8-year-old.
And an 8-year-old. I thought you said 1-year-old. I was like, well, that's the gap. I've got 4 kids, so mine are.
Oh, wow, okay.
I've got a gap in mine. I have 2 that are. Well, I should say one. My oldest just graduated from college, so I would say I have 2 college and 2 middle schoolers.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, that's my gap. So and I have 2 boys, 2 girls. So
nice.
But the boys stinky.
It's part of the hormone.
It's just part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what led you to design Tiny Sprouts? What started, what inspired you to start the company?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was just, I work in a research in an academic area, and I just see a lot of, it's such a big disconnect that I feel, from the top, versus the people that's actually working with families or working with the kids. There's, and then being on the research side, there's tons of great information that's out there. But somehow, after I became a mother, lots of mother, mother talk, and you say, oh, how do you deal with such and such? How do you deal with, the child rearing aspects of whatever, kids' behavior, all that stuff. It was kind of interesting to me because obviously I'm in that realm. I know how to deal with certain things, but it was surprising to me that they didn't. And it's not surprising. It's like, oh my gosh, you didn't know. And I'm like, you guys suck or anything. But it's like, wow, I have all this information that can be easily accessible to these people, and that they can help them in such a way that, I mean, it's just not trickle down unless there's some kind of, articles out there, talk about a research that's being done and everybody start talking about it. But the fact is that information has been sitting there for decades.
Right.
And it's just nobody ever, it's just like such a ivory tower kind of thing. And then all that information, all that techniques and strategies are not being trickled down to the families. And, therapies and things like that. Usually people wait until there's actually problem in the family.
You're right.
So before that, they just like, oh my goodness, I can't deal with this. I need a professional to deal with it. But that's usually when the problem has becoming so big, that you need some kind of intervention professionally.
That's right. And it's interesting, we hear this a lot, like in more of the I would say daycare. Like we would hear the themes when our kids were much younger of to raise the kids. It needs to be based on like 4 factors. It needs to be, not just academic, like what is considered traditional education. Can they, recognize the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, but they need to be behaviorally, there's that emotional, and then the social, and then, being able to communicate that language, communication. And then as soon as our kids started like getting in more traditional, school, it's like, you're right. Well, as a parent, I'm like, you're not being able to relate to other kids. And we had to go back to go, is this a behavior thing? Is this because they're not, don't understand the social dynamics? And we have to teach them about the like Mean Girls and all like the middle school drama stuff. But you're right. It's only when there becomes an issue of, we see that in our older kids circle of kids that have like drug issues or like computer addiction, with it's like, okay, now they're in therapy because there's a problem, but not that these learnings shouldn't have been a part of the experience throughout their entire formation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I think when we kind of step out of the whole thing and then trying to look at all the problems that people are having, it doesn't matter if it's, academic or corporate or, marriage or dating areas, It doesn't matter, right? When we all break it down, it really all stems from being self-aware or, being, how to regulate your emotions and how to behave in a certain socially acceptable way.
Right.
So that's why, it really clicked. And especially being in the Bay Area, where it's so competitive.
Because you're in the Bay Area, right?
We are in the Bay Area. Yeah. We've heard some crazy stories about, and the kids here are under so much pressure from the parents, from the school, from, being in that, and then the corporate environment as well.
It's very cutthroat and very competitive there. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just like we see so many tragedies, stemming from that. And it's because they are not able to regulate their emotions.
Right. It's kind of like building resilience, right?
Exactly.
That we haven't taught our kids, and there's a lot of adults that way. I mean, we've seen that in our startup and our company of, there are people that their rubber band stretches at different capacities. And there are some people that are like, okay, you stretch this mark and it snaps. And there's other people that you can stretch their elastic way further. Right. But it's like, how do we teach that? And so Tiny Sprouts is what the manifestation of how do you teach that, but in like games? Is it like tangible products that you sell? Okay.
It's actually a board game sitting right behind me right there.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah. And includes this 4 components to teach people, step into the shoes of another with, it's the whole thing is evidence-based.
Okay.
with cognitive behavioral therapy strategies and play therapy strategies. So it's not just a game per
Okay.
se. So we
Yeah.
kind of work the whole therapy because we wanted to, bring the strategies that the therapists, the teachers are using, and then really bring it to families and say, hey, we don't want you to wait until 10 years down the line where there's a
Right.
problem. That's hit it now. That's get from the beginning and teach some of these skills so
Right.
that they know how to communicate, they know how to behave in an appropriate way, and not be so flustered and then they don't know what to do. So the whole game is centered around this villain. His name is Gooby.
Oh.
He wreaks havoc on this, imaginary city called Empathropolis, and we have 6 superheroes.
Empathropolis? I love
Yes.
it. Okay.
So there's 6 superheroes, meaning there's going to be 6 players that can maximum play this game, and they kind of, so wherever the villain lands, the city block, it turns into red. So he turns the town red.
Okay.
And that's where then whenever the superhero steps on that same block, and then we have 180, actually 160 different everyday life scenarios that they have to solve. Huh. So social dilemmas that they have to solve.
Yeah.
And we use cognitive behavioral therapy strategies to help them go through their thoughts, what's happening. Like, for example, like no one wants to play with Sophia at recess today. Okay. So like, what do you think is happening? It's kind of help them through thinking, right? What's happening today? What do you think Sophia's feeling? Okay. What about the other people? Do they see her? Right. So it's kind of going through the different feelings and actions. So if you see this happening at your school, like, what would you do? So it's kind of helping them, stepping
verbalize.
Verbalize their emotions and, talk about it. And then so this actually provides a cognitive script. That's a technical word, but like give them like a rehearsal and say, okay, next time, now I'm playing in a game.
Right.
But if I actually see this in real life,
what do I do?
I already know what to do because I played this game. I already thought through, what to do. So I know what's, we would know what to do.
Right. So you sell these into, so it's more for families. Do you see, could this be applied in the workplace?
Oh, absolutely. We have actually a lot of people asking for that. Oh yeah. Absolutely. We're looking to expand actually to include, a different package for adults.
Okay.
For work spaces.
Yeah. Like teams and
dealing with, bosses and then how to, navigate with your colleagues and all that stuff. We also have people asking if we can come up with for a marriage one, a dating scene. So
that is nice. And then, would that all be called under Tiny Sprouts, or would you would those be different names?
Tiny Sprouts is our company name, but the board game is actually called Empower Empathy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that could be applied in different scenarios. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So.
What has been the most rewarding aspect of starting the company?
I think everything. I'm enjoying this entire journey because entrepreneurship is definitely not something that I've started out. It's more academic and more research orientated. But coming into this entrepreneurship, I'm learning so much, and I love exploring different options and connecting different parts, and it's not so far removed from psychology,
right?
Actually,
that's right.
It's so. I'm loving every part of it, and the most rewarding thing I would say, like when we go to different conferences, like professional conferences, like the teacher conferences or the therapist conferences, they are actually using our stuff in their clinical settings, in their schools. And they're coming back and tell us and say, oh my gosh, my kids love it. It's working. it's useful. It's not just a board game that you just play and then dump it.
Right.
And then just like forget about it. This
Like,
is actually making a change in their behavior.
it's making, are you documenting that for, to continue with your evidence-based of like, hey, for all the classrooms that use this or the schools, they're seeing a definite change, or is it just more anecdotal?
I would love to collaborate with any researcher that can take this on, like, and help us, gather that data.
Yeah.
We do have, just, testimonials
Right.
of that sort. So I would be really, really interested to see, how that could actually, in numbers.
That's right. Yeah. Let's quantify that for.
Yeah. Exactly.
What has been the biggest aha moment for you?
Aha, meaning like,
I cannot believe I didn't either think about this. We always say the aha moments turn into the oh shit, or the oh shit moments turn into the aha moments, as part of like either starting up the business or, were there any kind of lessons learned of, man, I wish I would have known this. I would have done it differently. Anything like that comes to your mind for your journey?
I think I don't know. I'm more of a creative person.
Okay.
So all along the way, I would think of different things to, strategize, where should I take the company to, how will we sell this? How do we market this? So every step away, there's that aha, let's do it. And be like, oh, let's do that. That sounds fun. And I'm enjoying that part, like I said before.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, there's no roadmap as to where or how you should do it. Our company is kind of situated in a different market. I think it's like a new market for us because we are not traditional board games.
Yeah.
And then we're not, therapy tools where, it's only available to counselors and therapists or teachers only. We are kind of in the middle, and our price actually reflects that. So this is like a new. You
created a new category.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's also like a challenge as well, because there's nobody else that's doing that.
Yeah.
So aha moments, I think it was just, every step of the way, it's like, hey, okay, we can maybe do that. Maybe we can do that.
Do you have a team of people that you're working with that are like, okay, you're the creative person, but you've got somebody that's like, okay, here's the I would call the more detailed person, or not detailed person, but what would it be? Operational person to kind of balance out the creative, or are you having to take on everything yourself?
I do have a business partner.
Oh, good.
But she is the designer for all the arts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the funny thing is, we were high school friends back in Texas.
Oh my God. So did you guys come together with this idea, or did you reach out to her after you had the idea? Like, no, I need an art director or something.
No, what's funny is, like after graduation, being all over the world, move around but we were connected by Facebook.
Yeah.
So like, it's so funny because one day she posted a picture of her and her child. And then I was like, wait a minute, that looks so familiar. That looks like the park, like in my neighborhood.
Oh.
Okay. So I was like, where are you? And then so she said a city, and I was like, in California? Because there's another one in Texas, same name.
Oh.
So I was like, are you? I was like, wait a minute, that's my city.
Yeah.
I live right there. It's like, you are in my city. It's like, because I pass by that park every single day. I know that park, I take my kids there. So it turns out she only lives, like, after 15 years, she lives 3 miles down the street from me.
Oh my goodness.
In Bay
and that's
Area.
and that's how you found out, was just via a Facebook post?
Yeah. I just,
that's
like,
amazing.
Hey, and it was such a, a picture that was like on the grass, just kind of selfie kind of thing. So I was like, oh my goodness. So, I mean, and then by the time we had kids, so, I mean, our conversation, we always got along. We have, similar interests, but now that we're mothers, our shift, becomes, our kids, right?
Right.
So we start talking about all this, saying what can we be, what can we do to, if we want something better for our kids, what can we
Right.
do? And we're always like really creative people, and so we just kind of come together and say. So this whole product took us 3 years to develop.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Just thinking
So
through, like, we need to, there needs to be something. It
yeah.
should be a game, but what kind of game would that be? Was that the process, or was it,
No, it evolved with so many different things. It didn't start out with the game idea. We thought about, different things, like even subscription boxes, or a children's book or something like that.
okay.
But eventually it became like, okay, we need to have something that that's involved the family, encourage the family bonding. So what's a better thing than playing a board game together?
Right.
Instead of, we even thought about, hey, should we go digital?
Ah.
Should we create an app? Because we're in the Bay Area, right?
I was like, yeah, that should
developer. Yeah. So we even thought about that. But then, it really comes down if we were wanting to, instill these character traits, human to human, face to face interaction, that's essential. And you really cannot operate that just from a phone.
Right. So having an avatar, would not.
Yeah. And there's, components in the game where it's, you have to do, face to face.
Yeah.
Face to face.
Well, it's that part of that verbal, that language, communication.
Yeah. We actually have a fun part in the game. We actually included 28 different emotions in our card. So it's not just happy, mad, or sad.
Right.
We wanted, the kids to be, or it's just anybody, parents too, to be, more aware of the feelings, the different variants of different nuances of feelings. So we included 28 different ones. So there's one part in the game that's like everybody's favorite part, where the villain and the superhero are on the same city block. Okay, they're standing on the same city block. So we call this round face off. So what happened is, like, I'm showing you like one of the emotions randomly. I can't see it, and then you have to act it out. So it's kind of like a practicing nonverbal cues, and then reading the faces, reading the body language, and then I have 3 guesses to guess what emotion that you're trying to do.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
I mean, I love it for families, but I can see why corporate would want that for team building.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, how do you apply that? That is, but I mean, you could even just adjust it. Like, I'm sitting there going, do I buy this for our team? And just go, imagine not recess. Let's imagine that we're in a boardroom.
Exactly. In the office. Right. Yeah.
Interesting. So if you could hit rewind on anything around this 3-year journey of yours, would you do anything differently?
People ask that a lot. I personally wouldn't, because I feel like everything, even though it's like a little hiccup, you learn something from it, and you grow from it, and you're this because of that. I mean, we hit the pandemic. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I would have not wanted to have pandemic, but then, because the pandemic actually changed a lot for us as well. Because we weren't able to meet face to face,
Okay.
But then we were really lucky, because at the time we were searching for a manufacturer at the time. And we contacted, like USA, all over Europe, Asia, everywhere, for a manufacturer to produce our products. And pandemic hit, everybody went dead silent. It was like, hello, hey, you said you were going to send me a sample. What's up? This is like dead silent. And we were really, really lucky that we found a vendor that was from Taiwan.
Okay.
And at the time, Taiwan did not have any of this because they knew how to handle this during the SARS time, like 10 years ago or something. So they didn't have this. And this vendor we found was like through like a third degree of acquaintances, like, so it was like, wow. And then it turned out to be, the best decision we have ever made, finding this vendor who is, it's a small business as well. But they're so dedicated and so meticulous in the way that, they help us design the box and then the materials and things like that. So it's top quality.
Yeah.
So if you feel this game, it's actually weighs 4 pounds.
Oh my
and
God.
it's really good quality. The qualities that you don't see in a lot of games. So
how did you pivot when you said that you mainly sold through going to shows and to like the education or clinical therapy shows? How did you get the word out about your product during the pandemic when there were no shows?
During the pandemic, it was just production time. So
okay.
that was
so you just were like, okay, we need that time.
Yeah, we need that time.
Yeah.
We need the production time. But then we hit the the what's that called? The frights. That was another hurdle. That was interesting. So every freight forwarder that I contacted gave me like a lesson on economics. So that was knowledgeable, that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, that's how it works. And I mean, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Personally. So that was good.
And your business partner, and are you guys still friends through this and still, do you guys have do you divvy up your roles in terms of who does what? Like, how do you guys maintain that relationship, that partnership? If you guys were friends before, did you have to put things like with lawyers and get things involved that way? I mean, how did you?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because we mesh so well. The things that I don't know how to do, she does. Yeah. And the things that I don't know how to do, she doesn't know how to do, I do it. So it's kind of, it's it's a good combine, and we do talk about everything together. She has a background in computer, so she handles, all that. She also has an MBA, so finance, she's taking care of that. So I just, ask her, hey, can we do this at this price? So she'll go do the calculation and things like that. So I don't have to, stuck all that numbers in my brain. Obviously, I'm more the psychologist.
Yeah.
So I know all the evidence-based, all that psychology things.
Right.
I also have, she is, she actually worked in a magazine before as photographer. Okay. So she has that design eyes. I also actually have bachelor's in performing and visual arts. Okay. So we have that aesthetic, same kind of aesthetic going in. So we will talk about, hey, this image would this look good, da 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 da. Yeah. So it's yeah. And obviously we're both passionate about mental health.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love it. Where do you feel like you've struggled the most?
Right now, as a whole business?
Yeah.
I feel
or just as you're in your personal journey. I mean, either one. But yeah. But for the business, just getting the word out?
I think getting the words out, because I think that is something that we underestimated. Changing the consumer behavior.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this is definitely something that, kids would know how to play it if they, you play it with 1 month or, look through our quick play guide, how to play it. But we really wanted something where when you sit down and talk about it, it's like your family values, you get to talk about, okay, this is how we do it in our family, which is going to be different from another one, right? But that bonding time together is what we're trying to create, and it's the funny thing is this is like a kid's board game, but actually it's not. It's actually a toolkit,
right,
for the parents to teach the parents how to teach the kids,
right?
So it's actually for the parents. We actually included a guidebook for parents. So, and teaching them how to be an emotional coach to the kids. So it's actually, we want to, you have to educate the parents because, our past generations, with, emotional traumas or generational traumas or whatnot, so we weren't taught any of this, right? So, I mean,
or you feel like you have to go get you have to go get a therapist, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that you can just bring a toolkit into your house.
No.
And you said, that's a new category, right?
It is.
And category sales are a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. And parents are so busy, right? I mean, I have 3 kids, you have 4. So, we were so busy. We don't have time to look through a book, right? We're lucky if we can, have a podcast on and wash dishes. But, so that, I think that portion, it's hard. So we price our price point, at $80. And then for therapists, it'd be like, oh my gosh, so cheap.
Yeah.
But for families, typically in their mind, board games are like $20 to $30.
Right.
They just shell out, no big deal, But this is like so much more substantial than your average board games. And then this is this is like a whole year worth of curriculum for a typical school.
Right.
So it's like that education to the average consumer, that has been, it's just slow. I feel like people right now, they're understanding it because, of the so much tragedies that's happening in our society.
Mm-hmm.
So people are starting to understand, oh, you know what? This is kind of important. It's more important than academics now.
Right. We recognize that like any product or service that was in the mental wellness category pre-pandemic, we're struggling to even just get, attention in the boardroom, or, if they're pitching for people to go, why is this important? Why is this value? And we've noticed that after the pandemic, the relevancy of mental wellness tools and products, the importance has, it has raised the bar. I would say raise the value of or the importance of those tools. So it's not as so I'm thinking just from like an investor, or if you're trying to sell into like a distribution model, it's not, I don't know if it's going to be as a hard of a hurdle than it was 3 years ago.
Right.
Because like you said, like mental health, mental wellness, it's just, we're put on a different perception. There's a lot more self-awareness of why these things are very important.
Right.
And where parents need to be maybe more involved of how do I teach my kid resilience when it's not, I have to go pay for a therapist 3 days a week or, once a month or whatever. This is something that you can bring in it. And, whether that's, if you're in a, religious, or, you want your church to do that. But I think this is something parents and families can control.
Right. Another thing too, this is about, communication and social skills as well. Being in this area, in a corporate, Bay Area, where there's a lot of, corporate ladders that you have to climb and things like that. You'll be surprised that when you're trying to get up that corporate ladder, it's not the technical skills that it's not that A on the grade anymore, right? It's actually how you navigate, how you communicate with people, the teamwork.
That's right.
That matters.
It's the soft skills and the social.
Exactly.
We call it the office politics. Can you master that?
Exactly. Yeah. Do people like you?
Right.
That's really comes down to it. And I think that is the tool that we want to teach our kids, how to play nice.
Right.
That's it, so.
And so the name of the board game is where did that come from? Is it just out of the baseline of being, trying to be more empathetic people, or was that just was that the inspiration, or where did the name come from?
Empower empathy. So I think empathy is the number one thing. We did in the beginning, we did a market research on, products, and then we surveyed about 500 parents, and asked them, what kind of character traits would you want your children to have? Would you want to teach? And what are the character traits that you think that's lacking nowadays? And empathy was the number one.
Whoa.
That was on their
that was on their thing.
response. Yes.
Wow.
So we decided to go with that, and say, okay, empathy, let's do that. Being kind, is like, I think being able to understand what other people are perceiving and then act accordingly and not be a little assholes, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the beginning of that. And I think a lot of people misconstrue what empathy is. It's like, oh, I need to bend over for other people,
right,
and
right.
be empathetic to your feelings, and mine don't count. But that's absolutely not true, because we are teaching emotional awareness. And then, like, for you to feel, how are you feeling when you are encountering, certain situations? How are you feeling? Are you okay with that? And having a healthy empathy, you have to empathize with your own first. You have
right.
to set a healthy boundary for yourself, in order for you to be catered to other people's needs when it's necessary.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then where did Tiny Sprouts come from?
Tiny Sprouts. Yeah. So that's, you mean the name?
Yeah, the name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like my Chinese name actually has a name. My Chinese name is Su Rong. So Rong is actually, it means a banyan tree.
Okay.
It's a tree. It's like, grows like super large. And my mom was a teacher, and I used to play in the schoolyard, after school. And I always play, underneath that huge banyan tree. And I had such, fond memories of it. Mm-hmm. And that happens to be my name. And that tree was like, huge. It was like maybe hundreds of years. But like, that really resonated with me, that image. And then being in the school, and then and every kid's different.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you are the teacher, you're the educator, you're the parents, you're kind of sowing the seeds,
right.
And then every kid is different. So every seed is different. So when you are trying to help them grow, you as the adult, you need to understand what that seed is. It could be, a fruit, right? It could be, it's just, everybody's different. You have to treat it as such so that they can grow to their fullest. But at the same time, you cannot force a strawberry to become an apple. Right? That's just not how it is, right? So I think to be aware of that, like kind of like a farmer with a cultivation kind of mindset, I think that's where we wanted to, harness that mindset to the parents, to the therapists, to the educators as well. So it's like Tiny Sprouts, you are that person. You have that responsibility to take care of all that Tiny Sprouts that you are hopefully one day growing to something that to their fullest.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're, and like you said, like to the parents of you're nurturing this, a future adult.
Exactly.
You don't want to grow assholes.
No. We have enough.
We have enough out there. We need to produce better human beings. Better humans.
Yes.
So, Angel, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Oh my gosh. Like this is hard to turn it down. So yeah. I
Are you one that doesn't go to sleep because your mind is
Yeah,
like always
I'm
racing?
always like, you don't want to see what's in my phone. Like the notes is like thousands and things like that. Yeah, just keep on going, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of time just I take things from other places too. Like I said, I like to do things creatively.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just developing innovative programs. You know, that's what I do. And like I treat this whole business like such. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe I can do this, you know, maybe I can do that, and trying to pull everything together. And
It
it's
is
fun. It's
it's
fun.
a tiny sprout of your own,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um, well, if what would you want your company, like if you looked at your company a year from now, what would you like to see it like? What change would you like? Is it in the market, or maybe different products or services, or the size of your company? What would you like to see the change?
We are actually working on a Spanish and Mandarin version right now.
Okay.
So hopefully expand, because we do have a lot of people asking for that as well. So they're almost done, but right now, I think just more people, more invest in money
Yeah, yeah.
to
More
get these
customers.
things rolling.
Yeah.
And then we are also looking to expand our operation into different areas. You know, looking to hire educational consultants to help us spread the words. And we're very open to collaborate with any corporations or organizations or individuals or schools. Just pushing out this mental health
Yeah.
awareness, and to see where we can do to do that. So
Yeah.
I would be really interested to collaborate with corporations where we can establish like a co-sponsorship or a scholarship for to bring these kind of toolkits into schools who
Yeah.
cannot fund it, right? So yeah.
That'd be great. Or Google needs to create one and have like Googleopolis.
Yeah.
Yeah. For their own employees to navigate that space. Yeah. No, but that's good. They do need to look at sponsors and because you're hitting in a category that is so needed. So needed. But I love it. But we're out of time. I hate to do this. I'm always amazed at how fast these go.
Yes.
Before we go, though, Angel, what if you could give any lasting advice or to other founders or entrepreneurs? What is the best piece of advice you would give somebody?
I think being pragmatic is it's very important. Being an entrepreneur is water uncharted, basically. So a lot of times if you're saying, oh, I don't do that, or I shouldn't do that, there's, like, I think a lot of times you have to break out of your character to step up a little bit. Last year I had to present our whole company, our whole thing in Mandarin, which I have never done before.
Wow.
I had to talk with people that it was kind of like the whole setting was kind of like Shark Tank, but with 10 panelists.
Yeah, in a language you're not that comfortable with.
Right? Yeah. So it was definitely Shark Tank style. So it was interesting. But if I were to say that, okay, no, that's too hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that. Then, that really shuts down opportunities.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like you really have to. It's kind of like a self-growth in a way as well. Like, let me see if I can do that. Hey, if not, if I fail, it's okay.
It's okay.
Oh,
That's
well, right?
Yeah.
But at least you learned that you tried it. I think that's what my advice would be.
Mm.
Being pragmatic and don't be afraid to fail, because it's
just
you
part
learn
of the
something.
journey, right?
It's part of the journey.
That's what I had a mentor that would always repeat for me of Jennifer, just get comfortable with being uncomfortable, like that every day. You are going to be put in situations that you're going to be very uncomfortable, and you just got to get used to it.
Don't be afraid of rejections. I think, it's okay. There are people that are not gonna, being, eye to eye with you. That's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. If you can hit, 10%, you're good.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
if you're still in business the next day, you're good. It's like we just keep going.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us today. This
Thank
was
you for
fantastic.
having me.
And where can people find you, or where can people find information if they wanted to purchase your board game? How do you want people to contact you?
From our website will be the best place. Our website is www.mytinysprouts.com.
Very good. mytinysprouts.com.
Or empathygame.com. EmpowerEmpathygame.com.
EmpowerEmpathygame.com.
Yes.
Okay. We will also make sure we put this in our tags and social when we push this out on our podcast platform. And for everyone listening or watching us, thank you for joining. Again, this podcast episode will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share this great content. Help us grow and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyper-local online platforms. We are the megaphone for founders telling real, raw, and honest stories. Orange Whip is a one-stop content hub for a founder, part storyteller, part how-to guide, local navigator with a filterable resource directory, a curated events calendar, and a social chatter wall. We are currently in 3 markets in South Carolina with goals to expand to be in 30 markets within 5 years. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, head over to orangewhip.com. Again, that's orangewip.com. Fill out the form on the Hello Chaos page. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to our weekly Whip newsletter. We are ad supported through sponsored native content. Our content is free, accessible, and inclusive. And today's podcast is actually sponsored by Brightco Marketing. Bright is a full-service marketing and advertising agency that is actually the content studio for Orange Whip. Bright was founded in 2013 to support the business community in a better way. Solutions and media agnostic, strategic thinkers, sense makers, and dot connectors, supporting growth companies across the U.S. as fractional CMOs and integrated tactical execution teams. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of Orange Whip, please email us at hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It's where aha meets oh shit. I'm your host, Jennifer Sutton, and until next time, see you again next week. Thanks, y'all.